Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The Japanese owner of the giant cargo ship that has been blocking Egypt's Suez Canal since Tuesday has apologised for the disruption to global trade. The company said it was trying to resolve the situation as soon as possible, but that dislodging the Ever Given was proving extremely difficult. The 400-metre-long, 200,000-tonne vessel became wedged across the canal amid high winds and a dust storm. At least 150 ships are now waiting to pass through the vital maritime route, which connects the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea and provides the shortest sea link between Asia and Europe. North Korea has fired 2 ballistic missiles into the Sea of Japan. That's according to the US and Japan, the first such test since Joe Biden became US president. Pyongyang is banned from testing ballistic missiles, considered threatening weapons under UN Security Council resolutions. Both Japan and South Korea have condemned the test. It comes just days after North Korea reportedly fired 2 non-ballistic missiles into the Yellow Sea. Joe Biden has put Vice President Kamala Harris in charge of controlling migration at the southern border following a big influx of new arrivals.
So, Madam Vice President, thank you.
Mr. Biden said he was giving her a tough job, but that she was the most qualified person to do it. The numbers of people arriving have grown since Mr. Biden took office. They include hundreds of unaccompanied minors who are being held in immigration detention facilities. Mr. Biden's predecessor, Donald Trump, was widely criticized over his government's treatment of young migrants at the US-Mexico border. AstraZeneca has updated the efficacy results of its COVID-19 vaccine trial in the US after health officials insisted they wanted to include the latest information. The Anglo-Swedish firm has now adjusted the efficacy rate of its vaccine from 79% to 76%. Further data from the US trial showed efficacy among the over 65s rose from 80% to 85%. AstraZeneca said it now looked forward to getting US regulatory approval. Retail giants Nike and H&M are facing a backlash in China after they expressed concern about the alleged use of forced Uyghur labour in the production of cotton in Xinjiang. Many Chinese have called for boycotts, celebrities have cut ties, and e-commerce platforms have dropped H&M. It comes as several Western countries imposed sanctions on China this week for committing serious human rights violations against the Uyghur Muslim minority in Xinjiang. The sanctions, including travel bans and asset freezes, target senior officials in the region. Kenyan authorities have given the United Nations Refugee Agency an ultimatum to come up with a plan for the closure of 2 camps that are home to hundreds of thousands of refugees from neighbouring Somalia. In a tweet, the Kenyan Interior Ministry said it had given the United Nations Refugee Agency 2 weeks to draw up a plan for the closure of the Dadaab and Kakuma camps. They were established 3 decades ago and host more than 410,000 people, a small proportion of whom are from South Sudan. Kenya's move comes as relations with Somalia have recently worsened, as the latter cut diplomatic ties in December, accusing Nairobi of interfering in its internal affairs. Greece has celebrated 200 years since the start of its struggle for independence with a parade that was to mark a new beginning after years of financial crisis. Prince Charles, whose father, Prince Philip, was born in Corfu as part of the Greek royal family, laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier dedicated to fallen soldiers at Parliament. The parade then commenced, which included performers dressed as Greek revolutionaries, remembering the uprising in 1821 after 400 years of Ottoman Turkish rule. And finally, keepers at London Zoo have asked the public for help in choosing names for 3 new alpacas. The trio of young male South American alpacas were born on a British farm and moved to London Zoo at the beginning of March. The zoo has shortlisted 3 names for each woolly animal. Alpacachino, Cusco or Snowball are possible names for the white male, who likes rolling around in the hay and grass and prides himself on his self-massage skills. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.